Hey, welcome back everyone. And now I've got the beautiful Claire Day with me, who is an advanced clinical massage therapist and living well facilitator. And a few years ago was quite involved at Penny Brohn, which lots of people will have heard of as an amazing cancer centre. So I've invited Claire to come on and to just have a chat with me about the work she did and the support she did, and to drop in any tips and hints for anyone who's watching. So welcome, Claire.
Hello, nice to see you all. Wonderful. Great to be here, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's all right. And also, Claire, I've known Claire for
A
15,
long time.
16 odd years, maybe longer. And she was one of my Reiki students and a good friend of mine in Bristol. So there's another bit of background for you all. So,
What do you want to know?
well, start by talking about the work that you were doing at Penny Brohn and kind of, I mean, I think for me, the whole cancer journey is all about self-love and self-care, and obviously having massages and having treatments is part of that. So, maybe let's start there and see how the conversation flows.
Sure. So I suppose I've always been one to take people as they come, so never to turn anyone away if they're asking for a treatment. So my work with cancer started as a massage therapist, really. And then that led me down, because I was having quite a lot of clients with cancer, led me down the path to seek work with Penny Brohn. So at Penny Brohn, I trained with them to be a living well facilitator, and then took on a role of co-facilitating their living well courses, which are amazing. They're just, it's such great support for people who are living with cancer and those that are going through their process with cancer. Also, what they did there, which was really great, is they worked with the supporters of those people as well. And I think that's fundamental, really. I think that's a really important part, is to support the people that are supporting people that are going through the process as well.
So their family and carers.
Yeah, their significant other, you
Yeah.
know. For some people it was a friend, for some people it was a family member. Um, you know, I think it was who you decided was your significant other, really.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was great because you could support them, and you could also um, you could have that conversation between the two people of, the person with cancer is feeling like this. How do you communicate that to the person that's not? And then you've got the person that's holding and how they need support. So it's a really great dialogue that we started to have with people, a great conversation. And within that, even though we're delivering the Living Well course to them, you're also gaining so much knowledge from everybody else as well, because everyone's process is very different. So it's a really humbling experience and hugely enriching, I think. I think the main focus there for me, my takeaway from it, was that all those aspects to health and well-being, it's not just one thing. So you were saying for you, it's about the love and the joy. But it's about, for me, it was about finding that all those aspects of life that you could just make little changes. Nothing had to be too big.
Yeah, because it can be absolutely overwhelming, all the things that sometimes it's just looking at your diet. Changing your diet can be too much for people. So
Absolutely. Well, you've already got you've already been dealt a big sandwich, haven't you? I mean, a lot. That it's just like, wow, you've got a whole new language to learn
yeah,
around cancer and around the processes. Everything's so medicalized that you almost feel like, we were talking earlier about being on a conveyor belt that is just moving too fast and you've got no control. So it was about finding a control in that situation, the things that you were in control of and the changes that you could make. So like you were saying, yeah, your diet, was hugely on everyone's table, isn't it? You know, everyone wants to know what do I eat, what don't I eat, what can I eat, what can't I eat, and it was more about tweaking, you know, making not necessarily really changing changes, but just making adjustments. I think you said to me a while ago, you know, it only takes 1 degree of a change to change the course of direction that you'll head. And it's the same with all these things. So at Penny Brohn, what they had is something they used a MyCore way of measuring your health and well-being, which is if you imagine like a bike wheel has many spokes, and if you're only tuning one spoke, the wheel's not necessarily going to stay round. So you had all these sections, say like spirit, community, environment. Yes, it had, you know, your diet, your network. I can't remember them all now off the top of my head, but it was about about marking where you felt you were, and it helped you see those areas that were lacking and maybe that you could focus. So let's say you're really focusing on your diet, but actually you weren't focusing anything on your environment or on your relationships or on your network. And it's just like, or maybe if you don't put all your eggs in one basket, you know, if you spread yourself more evenly, then you'll feel a little bit fuller or a little bit rounder, and your resilience will go up, and therefore, you know, your coping mechanisms will go up or increase. So yeah, there was a wealth of information. I think resilience in itself was, you know, talking about your window tolerance was such a great one. And I know, and that is brilliant. I mean, I talk about that with my kids now, you know. So if you haven't had enough sleep, your window of tolerance shrinks a little bit. If you haven't quite eaten the right food, again, your window can really shrink. And then all you've got is this peephole that you're looking through. And it's just like, actually, how can we build our window? How can we expand our window tolerance and therefore build our resilience? So it's just looking at all those aspects of life.
I think that's important, because I think when you've had a big diagnosis like that, you can just, that's all you can focus on. But actually, it's really important. I mean, that's one of the things I write about in my book, is like having my community, having that support, still having fun, still, you know, doing as much as you can to support your wellness, you know, and that's not just food or medicine, it's holistic, isn't it? It's life, family, friends, community. Yeah, I love that. It's a really,
yeah, and I really like, I remember talking to one of the dietitians at Penny Brohn, and she was brilliant. She'd be always just like, look, if you really like eating jam sandwiches, and not jam sandwiches, jam donuts, have that jam donut, because if you don't have it, then you're going to really want it. And it's, if you put it on your no list, then it just creates this kind of negative association with it. So you say, so just have it, and just think whilst you're having, like, oh, within this jam donut, there's all this vitamin C from the strawberries. And I was just like, brilliant. So just your mindset.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember watching Sandra Ingerman, the shamanic woman, talking about, she was working with a group of people who'd had heart attacks. And she said the same. She was just like, if you really want to eat that fry, like they call them in America, that chip, eat it really mindfully and just, you know, enjoy every moment, rather than if you eat something and go, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. And then you feel, you're putting that negative energy into your body, aren't you? So it's just like, you know, and it's removing the judgment and removing that negativity, because you know we're always going to relapse on something. It's like, it's really hard
absolutely, there's like a negative side to everything, isn't there? You know, as much as like you can eat too many apples, can't you? I mean, that's not great just because apples are healthy. If you just only ate apples, or if you had 5 apples a day, there's going to be some, you know, negativity around that, if you think so. It's about being being open-minded, but also not too hard on yourself as well. So it's just like, you know, okay, so I'm not saying now go out and eat jam donuts, and each time you eat one, think about the strawberry jam and having strawberries and that being okay. It was just, you know, a little bit of what you like is okay, as long as you're just not doing it every day.
Yeah, I do remember having a conversation with some people because they're like, oh, you know, I could still have a little bit of, you know, alcohol or a little bit of sugar or a little bit of cheese or all the things that people have got advise you to cut out. And I remember just going, you know what, I think when you've got cancer, it's a time to be extreme. It's like, because they were like, oh, it's all about balance in the middle way. And I'm like, not when you've got cancer, it isn't. But it is things like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, you know, one glass or one sugary thing or one, you know, it's not going to send your cancer.
No, exactly. In fact, if you're restricting yourself, and that's going to be creating more cortisol and more, and therefore more adrenaline, and therefore that's actually probably feeding the cancer even more. So it's that it's about what makes you puts you into a more parasympathetic. So it's about that nervous system, really. If we boil down to what's it about, it's about putting the nervous system into a more parasympathetic. So therefore, the immune system can function as it should do, rather than being in this constant like battle with yourself and fight flight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I mean, how did it affect you, and how, you know, were you dealing with patients that passed away, or, you know, kind of, you know, on an emotional level, did you feel like you were affected by it, and did it change the way you lived your life?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great question. So during the time I was working at Penny Brohn, I wasn't there full time. I was only when the full-time staff couldn't sit the courses, then I'd sit the courses for them. So in terms of clients related to Penny Brohn,
Or it could be massage client, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say people made, but massage clients. Yeah, I've definitely had the clients that I've been supporting through physical and emotional well-being, as well as massage, getting them out of pain, die due to cancer. And how I think what my work at Penny Brohn really helped me sit with death as well. So it was quite humbling in that way, and about supporting somebody as they're going through that process as well. In fact, recently a client has died, and actually we were having quite joyous conversations, you know, about what her process was and about meeting her. And she was actually saying, you know, it's quite difficult to talk so frankly, perhaps, with somebody, a relation that's so close. So it was nice to have somebody from the outside to actually confide in of how she was feeling. And so that was, yeah, it's like I say, it's just a really humbling experience. The work at Penny Brohn, has it changed my life? I think, yeah, absolutely. It can't not. So I for a year, I filled out the My Core and followed my own sort of health and well-being, and seeing how that what changed, and what I noticed. My environment, because I'd not long moved out to the forest, and so my environment was always like, yeah, this is brilliant, and it's just the other areas that needed work. So what I realized is, like I said to you, it's not that you put your energies all into your diet, all into your exercise, all into your community, you know, it's just doing little bits here and there. And actually it's quite hard to focus on all parts of your circle, if you like, and that's okay. You can't do it all. So there was a lot of learning for me. I think the window of resilience was also the window of tolerance, sorry, and building your resilience was my main takeaway, and has helped me move forward working with clients and supporting clients as well. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things you're basically highlighting is the importance of having people outside of your family to talk to, because I do think, especially with the death stuff, I mean, I found it really hard to talk to my family, because on one hand you want to be realistic. It's like, actually, I may not survive this and we need to prepare for it. But on the other hand, it's really sad. And you don't want to trigger all that people in other people. You don't want to trigger it in yourself either. So it's a fine line. So often it is much easier to have those conversations with a therapist.
Absolutely. And quite often that comes up as well when we've sat in circle, is that it's easier to confide in the hairdresser, because it's just something that you just drop in with and then you're off again. And in terms of how I deal with that, like I don't take it, I don't own it, that's not my story, that's somebody's story that's being given to, that's sharing with me. So I'm quite happy to hold space for people rather than I take that on board. And also it's something, that we're all terminal, aren't we? We're not all no one's going to live forever, right? So at some stage, we're all going to be at that stage of dying, and it's learning how to accept it. There's huge acceptance within it, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Those words, the acceptance and surrender and trust, were like the words that kept coming up over and over again for me.
Over and again, that you almost want to shout at them.
Yeah.
I don't want to accept. Yeah. But it's like, so with clients, I have these conversations, just like, yes, acceptance, but I don't want to accept. And it's just like, no, because, it comes, doesn't it? That sort of fear or those emotions come, they rise up. But it's about being real. I think Penny Brohn, there's a definite one that was talked about, is that tyranny of the positive. Yeah. Everyone wants to be a positive around you, and it's just like, it's great to have positivity around you, but it's also okay to be real.
Yeah, that's the thing,
especially real. And you'll know this about, feeling how you're feeling. How are you today? No, really, how are you today? Oh yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, it's the one we all say, I'm fine. It's like, really?
Yeah, exactly. So really allowing yourself to have those people or those supports that you can fall into your real self.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I mean, it's like the importance of having a team of people around you, not just your doctors or whatever. It's like having your therapist, massage therapist, or your reflexologist, or your Reiki practitioner, or nutritionist. It's like, being part of someone's team is so important. And I think it's for me, that it's one of those massive self-love, self-care things that it's like, don't even think about the money. I had to not think about the money that I was spending.
You were so great at it. You were like, it was so great to witness. It's like, you're doing this, dive in, literally dive into yourself. You're right to have that, because you can't. I think it's quite hard to expect. Say you're in a relationship, and it's just quite hard to expect one person to hold everything for you. It's because it's a lot. It's just
too much for them. It's absolutely too much.
Too much. So to have those different networks, different people, those people that we've got that talk about the radiators and the drains, those people that drain you, those people that make you radiate. So to work out who you can lean on, and different people, and you'd experience this, different people you could have different conversations with. So you had the people that you could literally go and talk about death, and fear of dying, or then you'd have maybe somebody that you could talk about whereas, oh no, death's okay, or very different. You can section each part, but you know who to talk to, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it took some working out, I'm sure, because it doesn't just appear. People don't just come with a placard going, I'm the person that you can talk, because lots of people will say, I'm here, whatever you need, I'm here. But quite quickly you will have worked out that.
Yeah, and it's also interesting the people that just disappear because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
what you're going.
Because they can't cope, and that's okay too.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
sad. It's really sad because you think maybe you've got a best mate and you think, oh yeah, they'll always be there. Maybe they just can't handle it because they've got their own life going on as well. But so yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And the opposite, like the people you least expect to step up.
yes,
It's
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
wow. You know,
ex-
Kate, you drove to visit me, and you know, I had
yes,
other friends who like drove
yes,
miles to come and see me, and I was a bit like, is that because they think I'm dying? But it's just
oh,
it's the actual love of like, you know,
yeah,
I want to hang out with you.
yeah,
You
we're here.
know, support you, get on the bed, give me your feet or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we can do. Yeah.
Yeah. And surrendering to accept that, because that's the other thing that is sometimes really hard for people, is to accept help, ask for help and accept help.
Yeah,
So
I mean, how was that for you?
really uncomfortable. Thanks for turning that around.
How was that?
Really uncomfortable, but then I got into it, you know, because I'd been the one that held everyone, so
Yeah, yeah,
and been the teacher
exactly.
and all that kind of thing. To receive was actually really beautiful, but it was really uncomfortable at first. And then I learned to enjoy it and soak it up, just soak it up. And I see it now with friends, you know, I can give a compliment to someone, you can see that they're about to go, but you know, it was like,
Yeah,
this dress, I got it in a charity shop, and I'm like,
yes,
accept the
yeah,
compliment. You open your heart and feel
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
it's like, yeah, it's a big
I
one.
wonder why it is that we've got to that state, that closed heart, you know?
But we're just so programmed to be self-sufficient, aren't we? And just get on with it. And, you know, it's like you were saying earlier, that those bits that we can control, you know, I think that's part of it, is like putting this armor on. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be judged. We don't, you know, don't want to be out of control. So we put all this on, and actually we're armoring our hearts.
If we go back to talking health and well-being, there's certain things that are within our control. So like for you, you just like made that decision that, yeah, I'm literally going to have all the therapy that I can. I'm not even going to think about the money. I'll sort that out when it comes to it. And you managed to make happen. And I
Yeah.
think there is that, isn't it? You know, that closing doors. And if we close our minds, it's like being blinkered and you can't see any help.
Yeah. And it's also stepping into abundance and trusting, because it's not only, you know, I'm paying for all these things, I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a massive lesson for me in stepping into abundance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I hadn't expected that to be part of the learning journey, actually,
Yeah.
that just trust that there'll always be enough, and life will support you. The universe has got your back, all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, I had friends paying for things. I had, you know, veg boxes arriving that I wasn't paying for. And, you know, it's like, yeah, the miracles that happen in life,
Yeah.
aside from you know, the miracle of healing, it's like, yeah, let the love in, which is what I called my group, wasn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
let the
yeah,
love.
yeah, let the
So,
love in.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's interesting because I've worked in circles where you've got people that just can't fathom how to make those changes, and it's just like, and that's also okay because it's a lot, isn't it? Getting a cancer diagnosis, and sometimes you're just bowled over by it,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I mean, I've been supporting someone recently, and it took them about 2 or 3 weeks to kind of just accept, you know, they're just in the fear and in the wobble. And I was just like, it's okay. Everyone feels like that. It's okay. No one expects you the day after you get a diagnosis to be like, right, I'm on it. I'm booking my nutritionist. I'm booking this. I'm doing this. It's like, take your time, work out what you want to do. And that's the thing that often hospitals don't give you the time. They want you straight in and it bam, bam, and out.
Well, that's that conveyor belt. It's like you're on and off we go, and it's
Yeah,
like
and you
landing
can hit the pause button. That's the thing. I mean, that's where Penny Brohn were actually amazing. I remember you recommended that I ring one of the doctors, and he was just like, you know, you can stop any treatment at any time, or you can ask them to lower the dose. It's you're in control. Even though when I did ask them, they argued with me.
So that's what I promote now. I'm not with Penny Brohn anymore, but it's that whole advocacy of just like, it is your life. You know, you have a choice, and since working there, I've and through my own reasoning is I've found that there's something within the NHS which is the right of choice, the right to choose. So you know, you can ask for second opinions, which people don't realise, and it's just like, and also you can ask for different types of treatment as well. You know, if you're not happy with that, then they can go, okay, we can look at that. Just because you'll have a consultant say, or a team saying that this is what we think, it doesn't mean that you can't question it and say, I don't want that bit.
Absolutely. I mean, I knew all of that stuff because I'd had a friend who'd been through it, and I could, you know, I'd witnessed her journey. Like, she refused to have mammograms. She asked them to do ultrasounds, which is safer. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could ask that. You know, it's like, you know, you don't learn these things, even down to the fact that you can get your in the UK anyway, you can get your travel expenses for going to your hospital appointments.
So that's that. I mean, that was a big thing within Circle at Penny Brohn, is just that we can't put a guide together, because actually it's kind of a postcode lottery, because different councils will do different things. But yeah, theoretically you should definitely not have to pay for parking.
Yeah, all of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I couldn't get a second opinion within Wales because my oncologist was the only gynae oncologist in the whole of Wales, so I had to pay privately to get a second opinion. So there's things like that as well. You're just like, really? And I had a friend recently, she went privately to get a second opinion, and it was the same doctor that she'd had in the NHS.
Oh no. Could you not have, Rachel, come into the under England, or is it because you?
I don't know. I think it because I was trying to do it quite quickly. Seemed like the quickest way to do it was to pay privately and get a private second opinion. And actually, he had pretty much the same opinion as my oncologist, because they're all under the same umbrella. So I think, you know, that's something important to think about when you're going for a second opinion, that, you know, we don't have integrative doctors in the UK that are going to go, oh yeah, I think you should go to Germany and have vitamin C therapy.
Absolutely. And I think that again, you know, Penny Brohn, that's what's quite great about the doctors there. You know, they're amazing. Giving the advice
with all of those kind of treatments, and they understood them, whereas my oncologist had never heard of mistletoe therapy or anything like that. So I mean, that's where Penny Brohn is an amazing resource for people.
Absolutely. And so when I was there, we worked with we were setting up teenagers, TYA, the teenagers, and supporting teenagers and their supporters, and we were actually going into making connections with the hospital. But people are like, why do I not know about Penny Brohn? And it's just like, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's just like, why is this not? Yeah, everyone knows about Macmillan.
Yeah, I suppose it's a funny one, isn't it? Because of us both living in Bristol, and I mean, I knew it when it was the Bristol Cancer Help Centre,
absolutely,
and then it rebranded as Penny Brohn. So it's been in my periphery. I mean, you could even back then hire rooms to do events and stuff. So I remember working there myself, doing things. So yeah, it is. I mean, there are so many things that people don't know. Even Macmillan, you know, they kind of don't realise that you can. You know, they do.
Nurse, absolutely.
Yeah, you can have a nurse. They can help you with your finances, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's all these amazing organizations, and you know, brilliant that they are employing people like you who have got that kind of, you know, coming from a different angle with your massage and your reflexology and the Reiki, and, you know,
Well, that was the whole, yeah, the story of Penny Brohn is quite amazing in the fact that, you know, she was acupuncturist herself, so yeah, she's already into um
Those kind of
with her
therapy.
health. Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, in terms of um the NHS is the fact that it's that classic, it's medicine, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know, that is, that's
yeah,
the section that's taken in medicine and surgery. So
yeah, yeah. And they're good at those jobs. You know, if
yeah,
you your arm, it's the best place to go to. But
yeah,
I just with
exactly.
chronic illness, they're kind of running out of what to do and
Yeah,
what helps people. And I have come to the conclusion that I think mixing it up is often the best way to work, with cancer anyway.
yeah. Well, with many things, I mean, in my own health, I've always used, well, it was called alternative therapy, wasn't it, back in the day? But it's
Natural,
complementary. Yeah, it's complementary.
yeah,
So it complements what you're already doing, and that's um that's the important thing to remember, rather than it's an alternative way, because I think there's a lot of discussion around that. It's just like, no, we're not saying don't do the chemo, you know, it's just, it's how can you support yourself within that system. So yeah, it's really important, I think, to get that message across as well.
yeah,
It,
absolutely. I think
yeah,
that's probably a good place to finish. Is like, it is about having your individual package and choosing what works for you, and
exactly.
you
What
know,
feels right.
yeah, and those complementary things that are adding into your whole little parcel, your tool belt, your toolbox of all the things that are going to help you.
Yeah,
Oh, so
exactly.
much, Claire. It's been really interesting having that insight, and I love that. Actually, my takeaway is the wheel with all the different, look at all those different things and see what's weak and what's
Mm,
not. Where you may be putting too much energy into one thing, because it's important to have
exactly.
balance.
Exactly. Well, you're going to have a bumpy ride if it's your bike wheel and you're only
Yeah,
putting your
exactly.
energy into one spoke. That's how I used to see it. You know, if your
Yeah,
energy's going all in one, then it's going to be a bumpy ride. So
yeah,
yeah, sometimes it's just about looking at all the aspects, but not trying to do everything to its
yeah,
max.
yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Balance in all things.
Well,
Oh,
listen to yourself, isn't it? Totally
yeah,
listen to yourself. As
yeah.
all things, as we know, Rachel.
Tune into your intuition.
What feels right for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me over or on
That's
screen.
been lovely. Thank you so much.